So welcome back, everybody. It's so good to be with you. It's so good to have Margaret and Teresa joining me for reading the first chapter from the book Women Heal. As you remember, in the last episode, we went through the introduction and we commented on all the work that Jean Packard has done at the Institute. So today we're going to start with the physician's comments for Dr. Hildreth. The story written by Jen Simpson with the Creighton Model System, Couples Make Joint Educated Decision. And I'm so grateful that Margaret and Teresa are joining me today for this episode also. Thank you so much.
Very honored. Thank you, Maurice.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So we're going to read the physician's comments for the first section, the Creighton Model FertilityCare System users. The Creighton Model FertilityCare System is a natural means to regulate fertility. It can be used to either achieve or avoid a pregnancy and is as effective as oral contraceptives. Developed by a team of research investigators who began their work in 1976 in St. Louis and who currently continue to investigate the system at the Popol 6 Institute for the Study of Human Reproduction in Omaha, Nebraska, it is a system that has literally unlocked the code to women's health. It is the first system to network family planning with a woman's ability to maintain and enhance her own reproductive and gynecological health. So it's worth noting here that it can be used really in three main ways. It can be used by women to monitor, maintain, and evaluate their own gynecological health, and it can be used by couples to plan their families, either avoiding pregnancy or achieving pregnancy.
Yeah, and one other we should probably note here, it is now St. Paul the Sixth Institute for the Study of Human Reproduction in Omaha, Nebraska. So in 1991, a new women's health science was described. This science, called naprotechnology, natural procreative technology, uses the Creighton Model System for the evaluation and treatment of a whole variety of different types of women's health issues. This has all been explained in detail in the new medical book, The Medical and Surgical Practice of Naprotechnology. And it is published by St. Paul the Sixth Institute, Omaha, Nebraska. It was published in 2004. One of the unique features of the Creighton Model System is that it allows a married couple the opportunity to know when they are either fertile or non-fertile during the course of the menstrual cycle. With that information, they can select to have intercourse at times during the cycle, fulfilling their intention to either achieve or avoid pregnancy. By approaching family planning from this point of view, it challenges the couple to communicate on important areas in their lives. This communication has the potential to strengthen and bond the marriage relationship. It also has the potential of strengthening the bond of love that exists between husband and wife, and in turn, the love they have for their children.
The Creighton Model System is a standardized modification of the Billings ovulation method. It is learned through an educational process with a fertility care practitioner. The couple attends a 1-hour introductory presentation and then individual follow-ups with the practitioner to learn the system. For those interested in pursuing education in the Creighton Model System, consult the website www.fertilitycare.org. The system is based upon a better understanding of the flow of cervical fluid, which naturally occurs during the days leading up to the time of ovulation. This cervical fluid is essential to the sperm survival and its penetration through the cervix so that conception can occur. At all other times during the course of the cycle, this cervical fluid is absent and telegraphs days that are not fertile during the cycle. The system is relatively simple to learn and definitely simple to use. It provides incredible feedback to the woman about her naturally occurring states of fertility and infertility, and also the status of a whole variety of women's health issues. It does this through a set of biomarkers, which we have now been decoded through the research efforts of St. Paul the Sixth Institute. As a result, the system has become an authentic language of a woman's health and fertility. And the Creighton Model System allows for that language to be understood and used in a practical way for family planning and issues related to women's health. The testimonials presented in this book, in their own words, Women Healed, amplify the effect that the system has, such as this can have on the relationship between spouses, within the family, and toward a better understanding of women's health.
It is truly a revolutionary system.
It is revolutionary, it truly is.
It is, and it's so much needed nowadays.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially, and everyone thinks there is a war on women. They don't really realize the war on women is hiding this from them. It's not empowering women through the knowledge of the Creighton Model.
And this does empower women.
It does, yeah.
I think of those that suffer with PMS and how that is disregarded in many medical environments and how it might impact relationships and even cause divorce.
Yeah.
And yes, so it is revolutionary at very basic level. It's easy information to gather. It is easy information to be able to communicate to the physician, for the physician to test and results given back, and then treatment to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So going back to PMS, as you were saying, Teresa, so many women, myself included, grew up all our life thinking it's normal. We were told it's normal, that you have to go through pain before your period begins. Well, it's not normal. What the Creighton model will learn, it's a legitimate medical condition that can be treated. Why women have to suffer through it?
Right, and I feel like how many years women have been robbed
Yeah.
of this knowledge at a very basic level.
Absolutely.
And there's more serious work that he does, but that seems so very, it should be able to be given out universally.
Definitely, and that's why we hope that reading testimonies from this book, every person listening will really get a chance to discover the best kept secrets of the Creighton model and NAPR technology. And hopefully you will check it for yourself, share that news with others, because people deserve to know about this. Women deserve better than they're being offered these days. So we're going to begin with a story titled, With the Creighton Model Systems, Couple Makes Joint Educated Decision. I like this story. I've shared it so many times with the engaged couple because it just speaks to them, to so many people in their situation. So 2 months before our wedding, I went to visit an OBGYN so that I could get a prescription for the birth control pill. At the time, Tom and I had never really discussed what method of birth control we should use. All of my friends who were getting married were going on the pill. So why should I be any different? After all, what other choice did I have? How many women just do that? They don't even think that they can do something different for themselves.
Right, right. And many women feel that going on the pill is because of a medical reason, and they somehow are fooled into thinking that whatever was going on is helped or is no longer exists, only to find out it's still there, and sometimes in a worse situation when they go off the pill.
Yeah. And how many times people are pressured. Like, I remember myself before I got married, because I was still living in Lebanon, my husband was living in the US, everyone was like, you have to get on the pill. You need to take the pill. You cannot get pregnant because you won't be able to travel to the USA to be with your husband. And I was like, no, I don't want to take it. I have heard about it in religion class, and it was not appealing to me. I'm like, I'm not, and thank God I didn't listen.
Good for you.
Yes. After 8 months on the pill and 6 months into our marriage, I did not have a period. I was scared that I might be pregnant. Our plan was to have at least 5 years together before kids. I wasn't sure what to do, so after a few tears, I decided to read the literature that came with my birth control pills. The small booklet explained exactly what the pill was doing to my body. I was sick. When I made the decision to go on the pill, it was not an educated decision. I had not even given a thought to the process of how it worked. I simply was following the social norm. I could not believe I was dumping these chemicals into my body. I had always taken care of myself through exercise, taking vitamins and eating relatively healthy. There was nothing natural about the pill. Tom and I definitely wanted a family, and I couldn't imagine how I could chemically stop my body from ovulating and just expect it to kick back into its natural mode when we were ready. No wonder infertility was on the rise. So true. No wonder why infertility is on the rise. And people don't want to relate the two things. I mean, if we're not allowing our bodies to function normally, how can we expect it to just do what it's supposed
Suddenly
to.
do what it's supposed to. Yeah.
It's crazy. When I was reading this, I was just reminded of one of my students. I used to be a high school teacher, and in one of our after-school club, Crusaders for Life, one day we were talking about abortion contraception. So I showed them a picture of the one that we have in the intercession with the woman's ovary and the uterus, and I was explaining to them the mechanism of action of the birth control pill, how it works, how it can inhibit ovulation or thickens the mucus or delays the transport of the sperm, or even stops implantation. I remember one of my students who was 16 years old, James, he stood up and he says, I think women wouldn't be taking it if they know what it is doing to their bodies. And I was like, you're right. You're right. So many women don't even realize how it's acting in their body, and they just trust the doctors and they just take it.
Right.
I do. I stopped taking the pill immediately and didn't even make it back to see the OBGYN because Tom's job was moving us from Omaha, Nebraska to Charleston, West Virginia. Once we got moved, I know we needed to do something, but what? We both recalled our engaged encounter weekend and how one of the presenting couples briefly spoke about natural family planning. They didn't go into any detail about the method, just simply that what was it that they used. We decided this was an option we needed to learn more about. We both joked about how we would be pregnant by our first anniversary, if not before. I could not imagine how this would work for us because I have always had irregular cycles, and I assumed this method had to be based on the calendar rhythm method. One Sunday, after church in our new parish, I found a brochure in the back of the church that talked about the Creighton model. I called the number and set up an introductory session for us to attend. This time, I was determined to make an educated decision. We were greeted by a wonderful woman, Nancy Bodkin, who headed up the program for the area and also happened to be a registered nurse. We learned a lot that introductory session. First, it was a method that is successfully used by women with irregular cycles. Second, there was so much scientific research that had gone into the method that made it 99.6% user effective. We left that introductory session knowing that this was something we needed to pursue.
Nancy became our practitioner who met with us individually as a couple in order to teach us the method. We truly enjoyed learning the Creighton model. We still joked that we would be pregnant by our first anniversary. It is not a hard method to learn. The toughest part was getting through my first cycle because I had nothing to compare it to. But once the second month came, I was amazed at how all my ovulation signs returned. As each month passed, I gained more and more confidence. It was so awesome to be completely in tune with my body. I knew that when I was ovulating, and best of all, I knew when my next cycle was going to start, despite being irregular. But most importantly, we were doing this together. It wasn't all on my shoulders alone. Tom took on an active role, and I am sure that he knows more about the ins and outs of the female reproductive system than most women do. We had successfully used the method to avoid pregnancy for 5 years when we decided to start our family. The method had worked so well for us that we were convinced we would probably have trouble conceiving. 9 months after our first attempt at achieving pregnancy, we welcomed our first child, Timothy, into the world. Wow, now I knew this method really did work. Almost 4 years later, we were blessed once again with our daughter, McKenna, who was also conceived. The first time we tried for a second child, I continued to use the Creighton model while I nursed.
It's interesting to read how they were joking about it. They didn't think it would be effective.
Right.
And we can see here how after using it for almost 5 years to avoid a pregnancy, they were successful in achieving pregnancy from the first cycle of selected days of fertility.
That's right, it's amazing.
It is, and it's interesting here, a note that we need to really comment on it. She said, I assume this method had to be based on the calendar rhythm method, and that's a misconception that we need to clarify. A lot of people think it is the rhythm method that we're talking about.
Not even close.
Not even at all.
No.
It's something completely scientifically based.
Absolutely.
It tracks biological markers of the woman's body, but had nothing to do with the number of days.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, we do have a lot of education to do in the medical office. We have many medical professionals who presume women charting the Creighton model system are actually using a calendar rhythm, and they assure them it will not work.
That's what my doctor told me. He said, this is just a glorified calendar rhythm method. I said, no, it's not.
And so many of them don't even understand anything about it. They
That's
just ignore it completely,
That's right.
unfortunately.
And then I like how the first cycle we tried, and that's what we teach, 76% will be able to use the Creighton model system, those of normal fertility, that first cycle that they attempt to achieve a pregnancy.
Yeah, and we see it happened twice here so
Okay.
far. It is so gratifying to have one method that can be used in all stages of my reproductive life, avoiding pregnancy, achieving pregnancy, breastfeeding, and even as we were about to find out, infertility. When we tried to have a third child, it did not go as we were accustomed. I was 37 years old and my hormones had taken a nosedive. But because we knew and used the Creighton model, I feel we were ahead of the curve in treating our infertility. 1 week after I turned 40, I gave birth to our third child, Hope. How helpful it is for a woman when she's tracking, and then when a problem shows up, just having that medical record can really make it easier for our now technology medical consultant to help.
Yeah.
So I only have one regret, and that is that we did not enter into our marriage with the Creighton model, all because we together did not make an educated decision. We came seeking this method, hoping to find a means that would allow us to effectively and safely plan our family. But what we got was so much more. As a part of the fertility care system, we learned about spice, spiritual, physical, intellectual, creative, communicative, and emotional, and how all 5 aspects of spice make up our true marital sexuality. This is the true gift of the method. Before our son was born, we moved back to Omaha and have had the great opportunity to work with the dedicated people at, now we'll call it the St. Paul VI Institute. I feel honored to have had Dr. Hilders deliver all 3 of our children. We also still stay in touch with Nancy, our first practitioner. Now Tom and I go to Engaged Encounter weekends as the guest speakers talking about the Creighton Model FertilityCare System. We hope to bring a greater awareness to this wonderful method and let engaged couples know that there is another viable, reliable method to help them plan their family. We want to challenge them to make an educated decision together as a couple.
Great. This story is a good reminder of the importance of trying to get this into marriage preparation for them.
Absolutely.
Because engaged couples would not hear about this anywhere else. If they go to their doctors, they're not going to tell them about this. And they're going to be prescribed the birth control pill like Jen happened to her dear.
Right.
Yeah, or maybe they'll come up with a self-device method because they don't know where to go.
That's right.
And again, they're not looking at how their body works.
And I really like her talking about how it brought their marriage closer in terms of spice, because I think that is such a deep part of the couples using the system.
It is, yeah. It is a very important factor. Yeah. And we can all attest to that from our own personal relationship with being married women, how much it had helped us in our own relationship with our spouses. So, yeah, this is something that's, I think, it's an additional positive point for the Creighton model.
Sure.
So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this will get you interested in following up with this series and subscribing to the YouTube channel, the podcast, so you don't miss any of those recordings. So stay tuned. There will be another episode coming soon. Feel free to leave any comments in the box below.
In the box below.
Yes. Don't forget to leave any comments in the box below. And Margaret and Teresa, thank you so much for joining. Really happy that we were able to get this done together. So thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Nice job, yeah. It
Thank
is. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you all for watching, and God bless you.